Saroj Kumar Jha, thank you very much for joining me.
No, thank you very much for having me.
You are Global Director of Water Management Project of World Bank, and today you visit Thailand. Can you tell me more about current project that Thailand is involved with World Bank or World Bank is involved with Thailand regarding water management?
First of all, I'm very happy to be in Thailand. I have been visiting this country in my previous capacities. When I was head of the World Bank's disaster management practice, I used to visit Thailand very often. We had very strong partnership between the World Bank and the Thai government on disaster prevention and preparedness. In the water practice, which I'm heading at the World Bank and the Thai government have very strong partnership on water security, which essentially involves for Thailand on a priority basis to support Thai government on flood preparedness and prevention, drought preparedness and prevention. And this of course involves working for different parts of the country on both flood and drought related hazards. We've been working with the government for some time. There was a very important workshop today where the Thai experts presented their plans for lower Chao Phraya River Basin flood risk mitigation. And the World Bank experts who've been working on China, Vietnam, Indonesia, India, Senegal, Kenya, different Latin American countries, they share their experiences from other countries in the world, how those countries have worked on flood mitigation and drought mitigation programs.
Thailand is prone to flood and droughts, and we are dealing with extreme weather. So what's your suggestion to Thailand in light of climate change?
First thing, it is very important for us to fully integrate climate adaptation into our water resource management strategy and programs, because the climate change is changing the hydrological cycle, which means rainfall is unpredictable. You really do not know when, how much it's going to rain and when. And therefore, you need a very strong water resource management program that fully integrates climate information. This also means that the governments need to invest more in water storage, because when it rains for a few days and then you have a long dry spell. So the most effective flood and drought mitigation strategy is to store more water. And I'm very happy that the Thailand plans that the Thai experts have put together essentially confirms to the international best practice in storing more water. The second, that in the lower reaches, particularly in the lower Chao Phraya River Basin, where you have essentially the problem of finding channels for evacuating excess floods, especially when it rains heavily, it is very important that you have a comprehensive plan for the evacuation of the excess water. And at the workshop today, the government presented the Plan 1 and the Plan 2 of the total 9 plans. I was very impressed to really understand how comprehensive, how detailed those plans are. And at the World Bank, we are very happy to be working with government of Thailand on this. We've offered our full support to the government to provide technical and financial support to implement these plans.
Mm-hmm. You emphasize on have water storage plan. In current situation in Thailand, do we have enough infrastructure to do so?
Thailand has done quite well in building storage capacity over the years. I think if you compare globally, Thailand has more water storage per capita than many other countries in the world. But it's not enough, because Thailand is a upper middle income country. It aspires to be a high income country by 2037. Thailand is a country which is one of the most favored destination for foreign direct investment. It's a growing economy. So your water demand for water is growing in all sectors of the economy. So you need more water. So therefore, you need more water storage in the country. And this is also one of the topics we discussed today at the workshop, but also with His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, as to how do we really look at a comprehensive study on how much water demand will be there in the country over a period of time, and how much water supply you have, and what is the deficit, and how do you basically meet that deficit through better storage and better water resource management planning. So we advise the government to really invest more in building storage. And please note that the World Bank is advising both gray and green storage, what we call nature-based water storage, in addition to, of course, the built storage systems. And Thailand, again, has done quite well to really adopt nature-based solutions for really looking at how you make your water systems much more resilient. Let me also say that the water infrastructure that is existing in the country, they need to be analyzed, whether in changing climate, those structures are going to be resilient. And this might need more detailed studies and possibly more strengthening, improving the structural integrity of these structures and making them much more climate resilient. And this is an area of our close collaboration with the Thai government.
What can you share with us in terms of having resilience in terms of water management? Because it seems Thailand is facing water deficit situation, even though we have enough infrastructure to keep water.
So Thailand has both excess water and water deficit in different parts of the country. And one important experience that was shared today at the workshop by the World Bank experts to deal with both flood and drought as part of one integrated water resource management problem. Because you can essentially convert excess water, which is the flood situation, into a storage strategy to respond to areas where you have drought situation. And I think it's an important message, again, going back to the point I was making before, is to invest more in water storage. The second is that the drought is a silent disaster. Droughts do not happen overnight. You have adequate early warning systems before a drought really happens. And this is where I think working very closely with the Hydrometeorological Agency, agriculture departments, local governments, and of course the water resource management, interagency coordination is extremely important so that you don't wait for a drought to happen. You can anticipate and you can act. What we call early warning, early action is the way to respond to droughts. And I believe Thailand is doing quite well.
How can you draw experience from other countries in terms of dealing with water management, because you are responsible for the whole region? Do you have any good example from other countries for Thailand that we can learn from?
First of all, Thailand has really done well, and we commend what Thailand has done and the plans they have put forward. Many plans we discussed today. Of the 9 plans for the lower Chao Phraya River Basin, I think it's an excellent plan they have put together. It is important for government to really mobilize financing and implement these plans, because plan is only as good as it is implemented. So I would urge the Thai authorities to prioritize implementation of these plans. And that itself will be a good practice. But today in the workshop, we discussed experiences from China, from Colombia, from Argentina, from India. So there are many countries where a more sustained long-term planning and investing in integrated water resource management has really helped make the countries more water secure. And remember, for any country's prosperity depends on how you manage water resources. In countries we are seeing globally, if you don't manage water resources well, investors don't want to come. Investors look at countries' water resource management policies as one of the important indicators these days, because remember, there is no industry without water. There's no economy without water. So naturally, the industry is looking for assured, reliable water resources to be able to go and invest in a country. So it's very important, and I'm very happy that Thailand has made water as a priority, and the new government is putting a lot of emphasis on water. This is what I gathered in my meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister, and I commended him for this government's focus on water, and we also assured him the World Bank will be here with them, working step by step to really make water security a reality for this country.
So far, what do you see as obstacles in Thailand to implement those recommendations?
You know, water is a multi-sectoral agenda. You know, water cuts across so many ministries in any government, so many agencies, and it's always very hard to coordinate water sector because it just involves so many organizations and so many levels of government. So I think an area that definitely Thailand needs to focus, which is possibly going to be addressed by the Water Resources Act of Thailand, which needs to be implemented once fully adopted. So that you need a very well-functioning interagency country water platform which brings all the agencies together. It is extremely important for dealing with issues of flood and drought. And I think today in the workshop also we discussed how you can achieve better coordination among all the key stakeholders and what is the experience from other countries. And I could understand from our meetings today that the government is very aware of it. And there is a conscious effort being made. And this partnership between Thai government and the World Bank, one of the areas where we want to bring international experience to Thailand is how to really work together at a national multi-stakeholder water platform, where the government is in the lead, but it brings national actors, but also its partners, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Bank, other bilaterals who are here. Because this is an agenda where Thailand will not only benefit from working with organizations like the World Bank, because we can bring international experience, but we will also benefit to learn from Thai experiences which we can share with other countries in the world, because many countries in the world are dealing with exactly the same set of issues: too much water, too little water, or highly contaminated water. So the challenges are common across the world, and Thai experience will be extremely relevant for other countries in the world. And therefore, this partnership is a win-win between government and the World Bank.
What are the main challenge or urgent challenges that the whole world need to be aware of in terms of trying to manage water resources around the world, especially in this climate change crisis?
Now, first of all, we do have a water crisis globally. There's not enough water for everybody in the world. There are countries where there's more water scarcity than the others, but there is a water crisis. And climate change has become a threat multiplier. It has made the water crisis very acute, to the extent that many cities or many regions in many countries in the world are very close to day zero when they'll have no water. So we have a problem at hand. And therefore, many things would need to happen very quickly. First, the political leadership in the countries and the global leaders will have to recognize that the climate crisis is essentially a water crisis. The second point is that this crisis cannot be only managed by supply side responses. What I mean by that is that our focus often is to address the supply side, which is to create more water resources. Either you go for desalination, or you do more exploitation of groundwater, or you try to tap more surface water to increase the supply, which is important. But only supply side response will not be enough. We also need to focus on the demand side, which is the water allocation to different sectors, pricing of water resources. We don't value water at all. Water is free. And when something is free, you don't value it. So we need to essentially focus on what's the right way of pricing water, and what is the right way of ensuring that the poor don't have to really be in a disadvantageous position when you introduce pricing in the water sector. It has to be progressive so that the poor are protected, but those who can afford to pay, they should pay for water services, whether it is water supply, sanitation, wastewater treatment and disposal. So we really need to look at the demand side as well. And it is said that a well-balanced supply and demand side response can really help deal with the water crisis on a big scale. And a last point will be working more with the private sector, because they can bring expertise, they can bring efficiency, they can bring innovation in how water sector services are delivered. And I'm very happy to see that in many countries in the world now, private sector has become a key partner for the governments in delivering water services.
Mr. Saroj Kumar Jha, thank you very much for joining me. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.